September 25th, and welcome to episode 101 of the Driving Forward podcast. Whether you're joining us live or listening on one of our 18 platforms, including Wreaths Across America Radio, where we broadcast every Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, we appreciate your support. Next week, we have Melanie Patterson on. We'll be talking about obtaining and executing government contracts. Melanie has massive knowledge on this subject and securing business from the world's largest customer. If you're wanting to learn how to secure business, just in general, but absolutely securing business from government contracts, tune in here for some insight. A lot of discussion lately on the social media channels about how to do sales, how to acquire customers. So next week should be a good one to tune in for. This week, we wrapped up at the McLeod User Conference. So that was an amazing event. Thank you, McLeod, for the hospitality. Thanks to everyone we were able to chat with. Our freight movement event on Sunday night was absolutely wonderful, and there's lots of great new connections made as well. Got to see lots of old friends. Absolutely stellar event. So lots of people asking a lot of questions about how it went. I felt we had many meaningful, engaging conversations with all demographics in transportation and logistics. Coming out of that event, really invigorating, really excited to finish off the conference season. Our next event will be MCE, ATA MCE. I know we have a few other things. Actually, I think Robert Bain will be at JOC next week, but as a larger presence will be at ATA MC. Actually, let's bring up the upcoming events for GLCS. So ATA Management Conference, we have a few people going there. We'll be in the whole week. Actually, we're coming in Thursday of that week. We don't leave till the following week, Tuesday. So if you're around, we'd love to meet with you. We're going to meet with some partners on Friday, and we'll be around. It'll be myself, Susan Mayo, and Melissa Hetland as well. Then I leave on Tuesday and fly all the way across the country to Orlando for Broker Carrier Summit. Following that, we'll be at Trimble Insight in New Orleans. I was talking with some event team there here today. And I'm sure we'll add on something else through the end of the year also. And don't forget, Wreaths Across America. It is not just a day. It is an absolute movement. And be sure to support your Wreaths Across America event in your area. And you probably received an email here today or recently. Sign up for that now. So those are great events. You should definitely attend them and place a wreath, help out in your local area. If you have any questions on Wreaths Across America, you can certainly look up their website at wreathsacrossamerica.org, or feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you. So coming up on the freight movement side, the Great Freight Gathering is October 9th and every month going forward. So in Minneapolis, Hillary Drake and Friends is hosting these every month going forward. I know she asked a team to help out this month, also actually every month going forward. But I was talking with Chris Sonic from 10 Logistics. He's part of that crew also. I don't know if who's all organizing this one, but Chris, I think, is potentially taking point, and I'll probably lend him a hand. But October 9th, I believe it's at, actually, I don't have that note in front of me, but we will post a link to where that's at and how to sign up. We'd love to see everybody there. Following this event, we have another event for Freight Movement. We are presenting the Venture 53 Trucker Bar, October 20th in Chattanooga. And this is our second time doing so. Last time, we lost count on how many people showed up. It was 350 plus. I think we're getting a band in this time, so we're gonna unhook this one. So it should be a great event. We're looking forward to seeing everybody there. So today in the chair is a voice drivers trust. The founder of Mother Trucker News, Alex Mai. He's built a platform that cuts through the noise of the industry and brings the reality of the road to the front office. And today, we're putting that lens on at least 3 big topics that can move the needle. First, we're going to talk about the proposed hours of service changes. What's on the table, what it fixes, what it might break, and how that might play out to someone at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're fighting the clock, fighting that fatigue, and a delivery window that just frankly doesn't care. Second, we're going to talk about transparency. Some want it, some don't. Few want to live it. Some think it actually already exists. We'll hit on trust gaps between brokers, carriers, and shippers, rate visibility, tender integrity, et cetera, and where the data gets lost between the load board and the driver's door. So then thirdly, we're going to talk the market and how drivers and owner-operators are keeping the wheels turning when the math just doesn't math. And we're going to talk a little bit about tactics of what's working right now, cost discipline, smarter lanes, and when to say no to a bad load, even when your truck is thirsty. So let's welcome Mother Trucker News himself, Alex Mai.
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me just fine?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I know that was the
yes,
question.
Yes, sir. All I have to say is, the reason why I say that is, when it comes to technology, I don't know what I'm doing. So if you need it, go to my buddy Nate at GLCS. You see how I plugged that in there?
Yeah. You didn't even wait 5 seconds. You just ripped right into that one. So
we're out here at Sapros. We're having a good time. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm going to GBAS, Guilty by Association, Brian Martin Show, 4 states, and along the way, had some other events come up, and I thought they were cool, giving away, at Sapros and multi-service field card. They're giving away food and giving away cool product, which you guys were a part of at Mid-America Truck Show. Actually, no, Jamboree, wasn't it?
Jamboree. Yep.
That's right.
We were at the Mid-American Truck Show, and we're hanging around with them too. Actually, multi-service fuel card was part of the Big Road Tour too with Freight Movement for the last year. So
I love that.
Yeah, they were definitely around. But so we know that team really, really well, and we're glad you're down there with them. We got the wave at Jessica just a little bit ago when you were checking in the green room. So.
Oh no, definitely. And if you see all these trucks, don't think I'm blocking the fuel aisle, okay? If you want to look right here, look, there's no pumps right here, okay? So I'm not blocking the fuel aisle. I just thought it'd be cool to be next to some trucks, all right? So just, everybody hold the horses, but, we definitely need to get in the show. I've traveled in America. First off, thank you to you, Nate, for introducing me to Wayne Transports, one of your customers. And it was so cool because they trusted in you. They never heard of me, and that's fine. But they said, "Who's this mother trucker?" And we came down. We had a great time. And, I just got back home. And now I'm out here. I drove, all night to get here so that we can have some fun here at GBATS, right? But, let's get into some of these things because the first one that you talked about was the pilot programs for the hours of service and what Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy said during Truckers Appreciation Week. I don't have it right in front of me, but can you update people? Do you have in front of you real quick what those 2 pilot programs are?
Yeah, I'll pull it up here too. So ultimately it came down to adjusting the rest period, right? So we can probably just start talking about that. The rest period was let's go into the splits, right? So the split was currently today, it's what, an 8 and a 2. So, and they're going to be looking at moving that split break to looking at potentially going to even as far as a 5 and a 5 or a 6 and a 4. And so it's really two components. So that and then being able to extend that 14-hour period further if you're off duty. So, or if you're showing downtime. So being able to extend that further hours. So it's those two components that they're looking at. And, that ultimately is a nice, it allows, if you look at, in my opinion, if you look at what ELDs have done over the last 10 to 15 years, pretty much 15 years at this point, they have forced drivers to drive even though they're tired. And in my opinion, this pilot program is exploring opportunities to allow drivers to stop driving and yet not destroy their day on their hours of service, to stop and take a nap. I as a former driver myself, if I was tired, I wanted to stop. But if you stop today, you are absolutely decimating your day. It is over. You cannot recover from that. And I think the new hours of service program that they are looking at is, how do we explore options for guys that don't work on an 8 to 5 schedule, which is really what I think the current hours of service program seems to reflect. So,
and what I'm hearing on the street, of course. Yeah, no, definitely. Right. So, I shared that news last week, and, for the owner operators, they love it. Right. And company drivers, I'm not going to speak for all of them, but sometimes they're kind of worried that, hey, if you're giving a little bit more power to the carrier, then that's going to exploit the driver and make them, potentially have to work more. And, so it's interesting where this is my thoughts, and this is kind of maybe a hot take. You tell me what you think about this, Nate, and for all the listeners out there is, if you work for a company, you have to work within the regulations that are given, but you work for the company, you know that you're working for the company, you sign on to work for that company, you got to play by the rules, right? And so that's one thing. But for owner operators, let's be honest, it doesn't make sense. If you do your pre-trip and everything's perfect, it doesn't mean that 5 miles down the road that things get sketchy quick, right? I've gone 5 miles down the road and then ran into something, and then my steer tire popped because of it. Now, I'm just running out my clock, and I don't want to say it's forcing drivers to start driving unsafely, but that's what happens, right? Pressure from dispatchers, pressures from getting a load there. Maybe you're an owner operator and you're running your own small fleet, and so if you lose this customer, it's going to be bad for you. And so overall, I think it's a good thing. Giving drivers the opportunity to understand their body more, what they need to do, and let the driver make the decision at the end of the day, what their body is telling them, and so, that's what drivers are telling me. And of course, let's be honest, less regulation, I honestly think is better.
Right.
One thing I will say is, I don't know why this, Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy talks a lot about safety, and I think he's trying his best to do the right things. There are drivers on this side that feel that, hey, you're talking about great things, but it sounds like lip service. It sounds like you're saying the things that drivers want to hear, but then pushing it back, right? And we can talk about that in a second, because I know that broker transparency was one of the topics you want to talk about, which he wants to push to 2026, right? So if you're listening drivers, you're saying it's common sense to listen to them, and they're saying that this is the top 3 concern, but you want to push it further. Are we really listening to the people, right? And so I say that, but would you agree with this, Nate, that just like when you get your CDL, you still have to have a Class C. You still have to understand how to drive around four-wheelers and passenger cars. But why, when you get your Class C, you're not taking a written exam to learn about how trucks stop, learn about distance, learn about blind spots. And why do you think that's not in play? Because I think that could be, something that could be a game changer that could keep both parties safe,
Yeah, I think defensive driving is important, right? So,
Right.
understanding following distances, and my kids are at that new driving age, and giving space to other vehicles, understanding that, hey, if it's raining out, you should give a little bit more room and think ahead. You should always think ahead, but especially more so when there's inclement weather and so on and so forth. And that's all stuff that you learn when you're getting your class A. That's you most certainly learn it more when you're getting your class A, or if you're going through a training program at any respectable organization. They're gonna no trainer in a truck with you is gonna let you drive without screaming at you because they want to live. So that's absolutely the case. So but yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, more training for the class C driver, anyone behind the wheel of a car, cannot hurt. So there are a lot of bad drivers out there. So I would say per capita, there are more bad drivers that are driving cars than there are driving trucks. It just, a truck incident is far more impactful than a car incident.
We're speaking the same language, and that's what I'm getting from the truck drivers out there, right? Company drivers, there are a lot of company drivers that I talk to that say they love the ELD, they love what it is because it lets them drive more comfortably and not make them overexert themselves as a company driver, right? And so, we get both sides, but for the most part, owner operators hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. And as a company driver and as a company owner or a company operator, it's good to have that visibility to where the truck is. But what it's become is an expectation, right? You want that 500 to 600 miles a day out of a truck, right? And anyone wants that. The driver wants to get paid for a certain level of production. But if you get tired, that becomes a problem. And the company wants to get that level. They're expecting that level of production. So they're planning loads ahead of you for that level of production. And if you can't produce, that's an issue. So creating this flexibility through, extending the 14-hour period, so you can accomplish that level of production, I think is important. Back when I drove, you just get it done and you'd make the logbook work for you. So, and of course, you always had the cowboys that would, go nuts. So, but 500 miles a day was not a problem. 650, 700 was a threshold, and you don't really see that often with ELDs anymore. But 550, 600 is achievable. Of course, we might see comments from people that are saying no way, Jose, but it is achievable. And if you can manage your hours accordingly and you're not spending a lot of time at docks, and you have ELDs that are forgiving, for a few hours at docks here and there, it's something that potentially can be accomplished. So, and then from there on out, the companies can start to be a little bit more predictive around that. And you're not getting that message from a company, which they shouldn't be doing today, of your hours are ready, why aren't you moving? Your 10 is up, go. This is a human industry and people needed to be treated that. Instead, that message needs to be, hey, just curious when you're going to get going. That's what it should be, not much. So that's hopefully this will create it to be more achievable for our modern day worker. So I'm excited about it to see where it goes. I get that owner operators want to run. They want to be unleashed. They want to be able to do their own thing. On the same hand, I don't see that we're going to go back to a world where that's going to exist.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. At the end of the day, it doesn't benefit, the big players, right? Hopefully this doesn't hurt any hearts here, but the drivers I talk to, they're all small business, And
Right.
so protecting small business, they just want things simplified, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right? Is I know we're going to talk about broker transparency soon, but that's the problem. You know, in life, information is key. And there's always this love and this hate against, you know, freight brokers and carriers. But the truth be told is the person that has all the information and the technology from the shipper is the broker.
So let's
You know?
move into transparency a little bit, and we'll talk about it before we go to break here.
Yeah.
So, and that I had a beautiful debate on transparency with a few folks that are very, very intelligent. It was probably one of my favorite conversations this year. And during the debate, one of them turned and said, "Man, we should have had this on the podcast." And so I'm going to push to have that group of people on the podcast to have the debate. And one of the questions of the discussion, I actually brought this up because I wrote an article, I just never actually posted it. And it's that the transparency already exists. The problem is not everybody has access to all the information. So the rates are already out there. So your
what a hot take.
so your small operators don't have access to it. They just haven't paid to get into the arena yet. So, and they probably can't. So, but the reality of it is the transparency exists to the shipper more so than anyone else. So,
well, no, I love that you're talking about this, right? Because I've had talks, you know, with a lot of people, with a lot of truck drivers about this. You know, I spent the week with Tristan Bardallo, I Am Freight, and we hung out, had a great time. And we all agree on one thing, right? Is let's follow the money real quick, okay? And tell me if I'm full of it or not. But at the end of the day, the person that's paying the money is going to be the shipper, right? So if the shipper is paying the money, and why are shippers using freight brokers? They're not using freight brokers because, yes, one, they would rather talk to one person than talk to a lot. But the second part about that, let's be honest about this, is the liability.
yeah, it's 100%.
Shippers don't want the liability of what's happening to these loads. They rather a middle person that takes the heat and not them. So when it comes down to it, it's mostly they know what they're doing. I don't have to name these freight brokerages out there, but let's have this conversation. Does it seem right?
It's a liability and a process veil. I mean, they're pulling that together on that, and it's not meant to be anything other than control. I mean, that's truly what I mean. It's control, and it's that they don't want to deal with those things. So, but from a pricing standpoint, I mean, so you reel this back 25 years and you look at a lane like Los Angeles to Denver, and you would see swings on dry van freight that could go $1.50 to $1.60 a mile in difference. You don't see that today. You don't see lanes that can differ $1 a mile at all for the most part. And this is freight that is not, there's not a hazmat difference. This is dry van FAK. High volume shippers, just basically who how you can get in, how you can service it. Ultimately you would see it. You don't see that today. Why? Because shippers have data that says they can get it at you might see some variance in rate, but certainly not what it was years ago. They would pay for volume support. They still pay for volume support, but not at that spread. So not the spread of today. So, ultimately that's just not happening. So, I mean, really, and that's getting away from the category of transparency and the true form that we're talking about. What will happen with the transparency of what we are truly talking about today is it'll actually make it worse. Because
what a hot take, Nick. Come on now.
So, well, it will. So it'll make it worse because then everybody's sharing this rate data. and now it's actually now you're hyper communicating it, and now you're cutting out that middleman buyer, and you're sharing out even lower rates, and now everyone's going to know that lower rate, and it's actually exposing another cut out of the industry. So now we can move freight even cheaper, and that's a continued press. So why would we want to show that you can cut your 10 to 20% out to move it direct with a carrier? Now those carriers typically don't typically have your spot market carriers, sure, they can be larger carriers, but lots of times these are smaller operators and don't have the overhead of a larger organization with full sales teams and whatnot. Sometimes they do, but the margins are not there as if they were going out building their whole sales team. So in this particular case, you're moving it for less than what the buy is on the shipper side. So you're showing that you can move it for less. That shipper may actually decide, hey, I don't need this service done. The liability is worth accepting.
Right. Well, okay, let's have this conversation then.
Veil.
Right. So you've been in trucking a long time, so I always listen when you're talking, right? And so let's have this conversation. When carriers and truck drivers, when carriers ask for broker transparency, are they actually asking for broker transparency, or they actually want just higher rates, right? And so, when I think about that,
right,
when a carrier is making the money he needs to make, does he actually care what the freight broker is actually making? And I think the answer is actually no on this, right? I mean, if he finds out that the guy or girl's making double the money, of course he'll be a little pissed. But the truth is, if you get your nut and you get exactly what you need, you're not worried about somebody else. So the real question is, are we fighting for broker transparency, or do we really need to find a way to get rates up? Right. And so I've had truck drivers tell me this, and I've had conversations with my friends as well, is, let's talk about the analogy of a bar or a nightclub real quick, right, Nate? So if you and I own Nate and Alex's truck and bar, right? We're in business, and we sell alcohol to a minor, and that minor goes out and crashes or something. Who's liable for that? Is it the bouncer?
Right.
Is it the employee there, or is it going to be that nightclub that you and I own? Correct. And so,
right.
What if?
Yep. It's going to be the nightclub.
Right. So what if the carrier, or what if the shipper was about to load a truck and then found out that the guy had his bumper falling off, duct tape MC, the trash stuff that, I'm not talking about the good carriers out there. I'm talking about the trash out there, right? That the ones that are competing against the quality carriers that are doing it the right way. And let's just throw this in here too. The guy doesn't speak like English. If that shipper loads that guy or gal and the shipper's liable, I guarantee you the shipper won't load that driver anymore. And so I truly believe that
there, Alex. Alex, move away from that wall you're standing by.
Sure. Is this better?
Move away from that wall you're standing by. You got bad access there wherever you are. So let me move audio around. Started chopping out. Yeah. Whatever you were standing by there.
Let me know when you can hear me.
So I can hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I can sort of hear you, but you were chopping in and out. So try it again.
Right, can you hear me now?
I heard you. Yeah, I think so. And to respond, I think I guess that might be me, not you. So figures.
Never mind. No, but so the big question is, if the shipper is liable for what trucks are being loaded, and those trucks are being loaded are not quality trucks, and they're liable for that, I guarantee you the shipper is going to make sure that they're going to have the right equipment, the companies that care, the ones that are doing it right, loading their shipment.
Right.
But those companies that are doing it right need a higher rate. So I think it'd be very interesting. So, is that the real talk? Is that the real conversation we really need to be having? Is, do carriers actually want the broker transparency, or would they rather, or do they really want the freight rates to go back up? And if the shipper is liable, I think freight rates will start coming back up sooner than later.
Yeah. Well, it's actually two conversations, right? So if everybody's eating on a small little bird, you don't have enough meat to feed everybody, right? So, but if y'all go hunt buffalo or a big game, we've got plenty of meat to go around. Nobody's too worried about it anymore, right? So everybody's making money. It's all okay. But then once the hunt gets thin, there's not enough food, we all start chopping it up. So I agree with you on that. So, but on the same hand, understand. So that's absolutely the visibility end of it is absolutely that. What does it truly matter? Understand your costs. Don't haul freight that you shouldn't haul. So I mean, truly, that is 100% the right answer. And on the broker's end, don't book freight that you shouldn't be able to cover. And if carriers continue to book freight that they shouldn't move, then what are you doing from the get-go? I mean, if you shouldn't book freight at a rate per mile because it is a net loss, then why are you moving your truck? So
and where did that become a standard, Nate? Right? Where did that become a standard that you could tell a shipper, don't worry, I have a truck for it, and then all day you're calling carriers to see if they can cover it?
So that's always been a thing because everyone operates differently. Someone's head haul lane might be someone else's backhaul lane. So that's everyone operates a little differently and everyone's costs are a little differently. But it seems to have become very much a standard. Brokers for many, many years, especially the spot market, was never used in the way that it is used today. And it is used today primarily as this augmentation of a sales team. And I don't understand why. It could be augmented as a backhaul network, but it is somehow used as this massive replacement of sales teams. And it does not make sense. If you don't have head hauls, maybe if you need 10% of your head hauls, you'd use the spot market. But what are we doing running trucking companies completely on the spot market? That's crazy.
That's wild. No, I agree with you solely. I mean, I understand I hate the word backhaul. I mean, I think every carrier and owner operator hates that word backhaul because you're basically taking it back for free or you're taking it back for cheap, right? I mean, I don't even know why that's a thing. I understand it, but at the end of the day, it is crazy. Like during COVID, when you're getting $5 a mile for renting a Penske truck, and you're still able to make $5 a mile. I mean, hey, the spot market, here you go. But the problem with that is that what that did was, I think you'd agree with this, is it created a trickle effect because back in the heyday when you could do that, when COVID shut down everything, shut down the OEMs, and then used trucks, parts, everything just went up, and then trucking came back first, and then now you're renting a Penske truck, don't know what you're doing, and still making $5 a mile. Well, you're losing your relationships that were great, a great shipper, a great even broker that you're working with, and you're taking the quick money. And I have several friends that were smart enough and said, you know what? I'm not going to take the spot market rate. Let's work out something that works out for us. And hey, if things ever get slow again, remember me for the times when they were this, and let's help each other out. And that literally is what has kept a few of my friends' fleets alive today. It's because of that relationship that they didn't screw them when the spot market was hot.
Yeah, absolutely. So
You know,
let's go to
come.
a quick break here, and we'll be back in about a minute and a half. I will try to fix some internet issues, and hopefully I can come back and not be choppy. So
Yeah,
we'll see you in about
yeah.
a minute and a half. If you have any questions, queue them up for us.
If your fleet's downtime looks like chaos, you're missing out on GLCS. In the time-critical world of trucking and logistics, every minute counts. Meet GLCS, your expert partner in managed IT and technology services. We integrate seamlessly with your team, bringing seasoned IT professionals with deep trucking and logistics expertise. Imagine your software updates running smoothly, complex issues resolved quickly, and operations humming with efficiency. GLCS has your back. Our support doesn't just fix problems, it prevents them with our industry connections and proactive approach. We keep your trucks rolling and your brokers working. Think of us as the added resource your company needs to unleash its full potential. Visit glcs.net today and keep your business driving forward. GLCS, where efficiency meets expertise.
All right, we are back. Hopefully, I've got a little better connection now. Seems like I might.
Well,
So,
let's just blame me. I think it was me the whole time, Nate.
it's always your fault, man. It's always your fault. So
Thank you.
it is what it is. So, all right, we got a comment from Ray Lampkins. So the industry will suffer until a change is made. I think a healthy trucking industry is worth it to increase quality loads on the road. Then we can figure out how to be more cost efficient, maybe using AI. So I love that comment, Ray. I think that the reality of it is it's never going to happen. And I don't want to be that kind of guy, but people will always try to press for cheaper. So if you go back to deregulation, we have always been pressed to operate cheaper. So over the last 15 years, our costs have gone higher and our rates have stayed the same. So that, and I don't see an industry where that, I mean, our rates, they've gone up a little bit. So obviously they probably changed 50 cents a mile, but our costs have gone far higher than that. So I don't see how we're going to see I saw Alex, your post the other day, $5 a mile, 3% broker margins. So I
thought that was fun. I mean, at the end of the day, I know the guy wants to start stuff up, and I'm here for it. You know what I do sometimes is, not sometimes, all times, is if a truck driver feels very confident about something, I want the driver to be able to share their opinions. And so at the end of the day, let's let it start the conversation, right? And what's one of the oldest conversations, Nate, right now that's geared towards freight brokers is, hey, if realtors are capped, if certain sales industries are capped, why aren't freight brokers capped? Tell me your thoughts, brother.
Yeah, they're not brokers. They're not brokers. They're sales agents. So they're not truly a broker when it comes down to it. They're not. If you look at like what a real estate agent is versus a freight broker, that's not the same thing. So
break it down for them.
Oh, now I will write an article on this for you. How about that? So I don't have.
Yeah, can you write an article so I can share this, because
a real estate agent is trained. They go through school on it. There are government requirements that they have to meet to sell housing. A freight broker can go get even you can go get an MC number and start selling freight. So, I mean, you can all you have to do is acquire freight, and start selling freight. As long as you have an MC number insurance and all the right authorities, you can be selling freight in less than 30 days just by
Right.
getting, and sometimes less than that. I think Matt Leffler's done a couple of episodes on this, and it's kind of crazy how fast you can just decide you want to do this. Whereas even better, a stockbroker goes through a lot of training. Typically, they're degreed, and they are governed by multiple government entities. So we just have named a freight broker, and that's because they buy, sell, but they're really not buying anything. They're not really buying anything. They're acting as an agent for a customer, and then facilitating a sell. So, and I like freight bro. I mean, there is a need in this industry for freight brokers. I'm not anti-freight broker by any means. No one can ever take that. So what I'm for is for a good relationship, and for the healthy use of freight brokerage, and for the healthy use of spot market. It's not meant to start your trucking company.
No, I appreciate that. So the question that, and I'm just talking about the truck drivers that ask me these questions is, should there actually be a true course, something that you have to take at the state level to become a true freight broker? And would that make things different, or would that slow things down?
Does it need to be? I mean, does there need to be a course to be a dispatcher? I mean, it's about the same job. So
no, I love the route we're going down. I love this route because the things you're saying. I mean, I have these conversations off camera all the time, right?
Right.
That they're not really freight brokers, right? They're just it's like a real estate broker versus a wholesale guy that just calls people and say, hey, you got a house, if I could find a buyer for this price, will you give me the difference? You know what I mean? Like, you don't need a license to do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to go buy a car. It's kind of the same thing. That car salesman doesn't work for Ford. So they work for a agent that works for Ford. They're a car dealership that has a relationship with Ford, but they aren't working directly with Ford, and they don't have some sort of, so there's some sort of transfer there, but they're taking a margin off of some relationship there, but it's a sales role more than anything else. What one of the issues that I have from a scalability standpoint for small trucking companies, if you are having to negotiate every transaction that you are doing from a trucking company standpoint, every load, if you have to negotiate every load that you are running for profitability, you're probably going to fail. Unless every load is like crazy, like a heavy haul or something like that. If you're a dry van carrier and negotiating everything that you do, you're probably going to fail somewhere down the road, and you're probably going to fail at a fairly high percentage. So that's where a lot of this. So a great broker relationship is one where I need this to be profitable and give me a variable fuel surcharge, and I'll run for you forever, at least until I find something better,
So is the problem really the shipper? Are the shippers being greedy right now, and there's really not enough money in it, and they're just squeezing both sides?
But now we go back to transparency, and Ray just chimed in. I agree. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you watching, Ray. Appreciate you watching.
Appreciate you, brother.
I think the problem is that transparency side, right? So we've now made it so obvious what our operating costs are, and the operating costs are not where we want our profitability to be. And we've now saturated the industry with so many trucks, and we're not removing those trucks. So when a company goes out of business, all those trucks move to the left. They don't go get parked in a field. There's a lot of trucks in fields, but they're all moving somewhere else right now. All the drivers, and it may not even be the trucks. The drivers all go get in trucks somewhere else, right? So they're not moving out of the industry. They're jumping in somebody else's trucks. So ultimately, we still have the same capacity that we had not that long ago. So sure, capacity is down a little bit, but not a lot. So, and as we continue to maintain capacity, we're ultimately just running around at the same rate. So until we have excess freight beyond the capacity that the industry can, beyond the capacity, if we have more freight than the capacity of the trucks, then we'll see rates increase. I think, consumer demand in general will dictate that, and we're not in any scenario where consumer demand is going to go up.
No, I mean, the big talk in town is always when our rate's going to come back up. If you had a crystal ball, is it 18 months from now, Nate?
I think that's where I think we're going to be looking at a slow increase for the next 18 months. A very, very slow.
Yeah, no, because I mean, I think it's past speculation that we've been at the bottom for a while.
Yeah. I think we've been, we talked about that this week at McLeod's user conference, so much so that corrugated. So one of my indicators for the industry has always been corrugated box manufacturing. And that was something that Tom McLeod called out, was corrugated box manufacturing is not doing well right now. It's down. And that is a leading edge indicator. If we're not making boxes to ship stuff, then we're not anywhere near shipping stuff. I mean, that's not, they're predicting orders that haven't even shipped at all. And when they're down, we're a long way off. So that's transportation is the leading edge of the economy, but you can't ship anything on trucks if you don't have boxes. So that's even further ahead of transportation, and they're down, and they're saying they're going to be down for a while. So I don't see it turning around until when you see corrugated box manufacturing starting to do well, transportation is about to do well then.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I'm interviewing drivers every day. On this side, I'm getting the heartbeat from them. They're struggling hard. They're not making a lot of money right now. A lot of owner operators, of course, have parked their trucks and gone company driver just to have some stability in their life. And so on this side, they're just waiting for better news. And it's one of those things where I'm trying to give them better news, but every time, I interview drivers every single day, and it seems that the company drivers are a little bit more happy, and the owner operators that are making money say, Alex, you can't interview me. I have a great relationship with this shipper. Hell no.
Well, I think if you actually jump into it, it's better today than it was 2 years ago. And it's slightly better than it was yesterday. And we're getting better at controlling costs. And everyone's thinking about being lean and eating on the small little meal in front of us. And we're not wasting money. And so that puts those that are surviving right now are well poised to do very well when this turns around. But you may not even realize when it turns around because it's a slow turn. We're turning the Titanic instead of doing a U-turn. We're just going, we're making a wide turn as an industry instead of hooking, we're instead of just spinning around. So we would normally spin around in a 3-year cycle. It's an up and down in a 1 year to 18-month cycle. And this one, we're going 3 years on a down market. So it's definitely that difficulty, and everyone's fighting it, but it is better today, and we are going up there's no doubt we're going up. It's just very, very slow. So, and finding your niche, I think, is extremely important. When you talk to those owner operators, you say, "What are you doing?" They probably have something that they've found that they've carved out that's working for them. Most of them. I mean, they're not saying, "I'm just doing something randomly."
No, I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, entrepreneurship 101, let's be honest. It's people like to partner with people, and it's more about people than business. And people will pay more money to partner with someone that they have trust. So,
Yes.
I think this conversation is always important, but if you're at the point right now where you're not using social media, you're not social selling, you're not doing podcasts, you're not letting people know who you are, you have to create a brand. And what better time to create a brand for your company than when it's still on its way up? Because when this comes back, it's going to whip so fast. When it does, people won't even figure it out. And I'm going to give you guys a secret to this right here. Pay attention to the used truck brokers. When you see used truck brokers start buying 100 trailers, 200 trailers, and they're moving quick, they see something happening. So I know right now with the new truck market, sales have been low. I don't want to just pull a statistics, out of a hat, but I know they're slower than usual, But I've been keeping track on these used truck brokers, and that's the next move that I'm hearing from all my friends is they're trying to time it, buy it cheap, and then when it hits just right, you're going to go back to buying 2014, 15 Freightliners for $45,000, $50,000 with 690,000 miles on them.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And right now you can get them down for nothing, but nobody needs trucks. So
exactly.
But yeah, absolutely watch. Absolutely watch for them. So if you wanted to, you can. If Trisha or anyone from MS Fuel Cards around, we're happy to bring them in.
Let me bring Trisha in, and then you can get look at all these great truckers right here. They're getting barbecue, they're getting food, they're doing. I mean, this is a Trucker Appreciation Week, but why not do it again? Trisha, come in here.
Yeah.
You're on the GLCS show.
How's it going?
How you doing, Trisha? Good to see you. How are things going? Yeah, same with you.
Incredible day today. Beautiful. 80 degrees out. We've got the barbecues going, hamburgers and hot dogs, raising funds for Truckers Against Trafficking.
Awesome.
It's just been a steady flow of drivers coming through and getting their appreciation gifts. It's been
Beautiful. And you guys are at Sapp Brothers in Harrisonville, Missouri. Is that right?
You got it.
Perfect.
Yeah. So if you're traveling I-49 or 71, we're right on your route today.
Awesome. Stop on in, get some free food and a box of goodies. So awesome.
Oh yeah.
Great.
We do whatever we can. You already know what I'm about. Anybody that wants to do good for truckers, I'm always here. When it comes to the street interviews and getting a pulse, I'll be the first to let you know when I start interviewing drivers and say, Alex, I don't know what's going on, but it's starting to get better. And when that starts happening, and it's happening slowly, because I've been interviewing a few drivers lately that say that they've been seeing the rates creep up just slowly, just a little bit, and it's giving them a little hope. So.
Yep. So Trisha, you guys have been all over the place visiting truck stops, right?
This is the last official stop of what we're calling Truck Driver Appreciation Week. We started up north, Kansas City at Love's. We've been to TA, Casey's, and PFJ, and now Sapros.
Awesome. Well, I know everybody appreciates that, and I've watched you guys on social media all over the place doing everything. So I'm sure. How many boxes have you handed out? Do you know?
By the end of today, I'll tell you what, we should be around 1,500.
Oh my God.
been incredible. And the team's just having a great time.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're in the office on a regular basis to actually get out and get to sit at a picnic table and eat some hamburgers and hot dogs with some drivers. We've had a great time.
Do you know how many hamburgers you've eaten?
I,
You know how many
I
hamburgers you've
personally
eaten?
have only had one, but the hot dogs here, they're perfection.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Fair. How about you, Alex? How many have you eaten?
Nothing yet. You know, hey, don't laugh at me.
We're keeping this guy busy.
Hey, I'm here on work, man.
Yeah.
You know, my work is to just keep on keeping on. No, honestly, it's just great just to have friends, you know, in this industry, and just be able to come out. I mean, you know, when it really came out to it, I wanted to come out to GBAS Truck Show, and I was looking at the plane tickets. They were like heavy, they were expensive. You know, I reached out and I'm like, multi-service field card, you guys are awesome. And they're like, Alex, why don't you come down here and help us out? And maybe we can help you out so you can spread the word to truckers. So I think it's so cool that we got just so many partners here that love the mission statement of taking care of truck drivers. And, you know, that's what we're here for. So, you know, I appreciate you too, brother. That's why I jump on your show, you know, because for people that don't know, this guy right here, he's not just tech, okay? He's just not IT, okay? He actually, what, you owned a trucking company yourself, Nate?
Yeah, owned, operated, done kind of, I've been in every chair. So been every chair, done kind of everything. So
this is a humble man right here. You know, I get the ears and the heartbeat from the streets, from the truck drivers, but Nate plays himself humble, but he knows how knows how this whole thing works. So,
I thought
you know,
were going to say not just IT, good people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Good people, Nate. All right, I'm going to jump over and give some more gifts away.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
all right, we'll see you soon, Patricia. So
That's awesome, brother.
all right, man. Well, I think we'll wrap this up. My last question for you is where can people find you next?
You know what? Wherever someone wants me, if there's something great for truckers, I jump on a plane, I'll jump on a Greyhound, I'll jump on a Dolphin. You know, I'm going to find a way to get there, and I'm on love them. But you can check out my stuff at Mother Trucker News on all social media platforms, and I appreciate you guys. I'm not somebody that knows everything. I'm just a guy that's willing to hear what these drivers are saying and give it straight and post it real without editing and cutting, you know, what they truly feel. And I mean, that's the part that I try to help with this industry is, you know, sometimes, you know, this community doesn't feel like they have a voice. And if this platform can be a piece of that, then that's why we do it. And that's why we've done it for the last 9 years, you know?
Awesome. Well, as always, I appreciate you coming on. It was great hanging out with you and Jenna last weekend for a couple of days. So looking forward to the next time. It can't be soon enough. So appreciate you coming on, spending some time chatting about things. So look forward to the next time as well. And we'll talk with you soon, man. Probably sooner than later.
Hey, you're the best, man. I jump on here anytime. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Enjoy Missouri. All right. So thanks a lot to Alex. Really appreciate him coming on, chatting about kind of everything. I guess we hit the 3 topics. We didn't go outside of those 3 topics. So policy, promises, and market chatter don't move freight drivers and people who support them do. Hours of service proposals aren't academic. They decide whether you make that window safely or you're parked on the shoulder burning daylight. Transparency isn't a slogan. It's rate, clarity, clean tenders, honest updates, and disputes solved fast so cash keeps moving. And the market, it doesn't care about your feelings. It rewards discipline. Knowing your break-even point and picking smarter lanes, killing your idle time, enforcing your accessorial charges, and saying no to bad freight. So here's the challenge to our small operators out there. Before your next load, audit your numbers. Lock down 2 lanes that you can own. Write down your non-negotiables and share the plan with your team. If you're a shipper or broker listening, tighten your SLAs and pay what you promise on time, in full with receipts. And that's how we're going to win together as a team in the industry. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, drive forward with purpose and innovation. Thanks for watching.